Episode 3 of the Knights of the Round Table podcast is here. I'm Jack Kaiser. Appreciate you joining us. Bellarmine athletes and coaches are hopping on weekly, and we're excited to share their stories. Every episode is on the Bellarmine Athletics YouTube page and Spotify. You can find the links and clips across our social media platforms at BU Knights. The last couple of weeks have been great. Greg Fisher from men's soccer was an awesome way to kick us off. Pun intended. Seville Gates from the volleyball team was fantastic too. And as we wind down the fall sports season, we're back to soccer. Our guest is a senior goalkeeper. She's a captain, and she's been all conference the last 3 seasons. Elyssa Francis is on the mic. Elyssa, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. What'd you think of the introduction? Was that adequate?
Oh, yeah. It was great. I enjoyed that very much.
All conference, senior, captain, anything else you want to add?
Oh, man. No. I'm here to play for Bellarmine. We don't have to talk about me.
Well, we're going to talk about you a lot over the next 20 to 30 minutes. That's part of the podcast. So what would you be doing right now if you weren't with us?
Oh, man. I kind of bit off a lot to chew this year. I'm a grad student across the street in the physical therapy program. So just took an exam, and I got another one tomorrow. So probably studying. Lots and lots of studying, unfortunately. But
how'd the exam go?
Pretty good. It's not been too bad this season. I thought going into it that maybe I bit off a little more than I could chew, but it's been going pretty all right. I'm having success on both ends, so
yeah, you just take it week by week, and that's all right. Of a sudden, oh, it's Halloween. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. Oh, we're at Christmas break.
Yeah, it's flying by. So on the school end, I'm not complaining, but the soccer end of it, slow down.
Right.
Slow down.
Right. We'll touch on that and how you're coming up at the end here. But Tuesdays, Thursdays, you said are your busy days. Walk us through what a day on Tuesday or Thursday is like for you.
Oh, man. Tuesdays and Thursdays, wake up in the morning, and I usually try and get some studying done before class in the morning. And then I have class from 9 to 10:20. And then cool thing about Bellarmine is in the PT program, they let us dive right into working with patients. So I'm in my service learning clinic right now, so I go into the pediatrics clinic in the Allen building across the street until about 12:30, and I work with some kiddos, treating some kiddos over there. And then I have a 4-hour class from 1:30 to 5:20, and then straight down to the field for practice till 7.
Oof.
Yeah.
Then when you get back, do you just study and go to sleep?
Pretty much. Study, homework, never stops.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the life of a student athlete,
right.
Especially one with your major. But you mentioned Bellarmine allows you to get in and work with patients right away. Was that nerve-wracking at first, being a student and actually like having to work with people, not just like in a textbook?
Yeah, it's completely different. I've had some experience just through my undergrad, and you have to accumulate observational hours to get into grad school. So I've had some experience with working with patients. But going into that stuff, like, patients know that you're just kind of there to watch, and you're not really like the one in charge. So when you jump into working with patients and you're actually the one like coming up with, the exercises and what you're doing with the patient, and you're kind of like in that more like authoritative position, it's kind of like, man, I hope I'm doing this right. But no, it's awesome. We get a little bit of guidance from the second year students are kind of our mentors.
Okay.
And then, a lot of direction from professors. So it's super cool. You have the freedom to kind of be creative, but you get a lot of guidance as well. So
what's your dream job in that field?
Oh, that's a great question. For the longest time, I thought I wanted to just work in an outpatient clinic. You see a variety of patients, different ages, different, injuries. And But the more that I dive into curriculum and the more that I study, I'm kind of keeping my options open, you know? As an athlete, I think it's easy for me to say that I want to work with athletes. I know a lot of universities are starting to hire physical therapists to work directly with their athletes alongside of their, you know, athletic training staff. So that would be a cool job to have because I love athletes. So
yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Having those opportunities to stay involved in the field that you're in right now as a student athlete and combine that with your career. I mean, that sounds perfect. So how'd you get started with soccer? Let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Oh, man. I started playing when I was 4. I'm from Evansville, Indiana, and, you know, since I was little, soccer's been kind of a big thing in my town. And they have little rec leagues for, you know, kids, you know, 4 years up and older. So my parents just put me in one of those leagues, and I started as a little youngin' and started playing, joined a travel team when I was about 12. So I was a little late to the game with that. And what a lot of people don't know about me is that I actually was a forward for the whole first half of my career. I was on the opposite end doing quite the opposite job, trying to score goals, not stop them. And I can't even remember what happened, but I think our goalkeepers got injured at a tournament one day, and coach was like, all right, who wants to go in? And I was like, I'll do it. And I ended up being pretty darn good at it. So from, you know, 12 years old and on, I was in the goal. So
I feel like so many stories like that are out there where you make a switch due to a need and you just turn out to be great. And that was totally the case with you. Why is Evansville such a big soccer town?
Well, I don't know. I think it has grown substantially. I was fortunate enough to be born in the time where soccer was starting to really develop. And I think if you talk to a lot of the, you know, longtime coaches from my hometown, they tell you that that people my age are kind of that initial kind of booster that kind of just set everything in motion. I don't know, just there's so many kiddos from my hometown that just absolutely love soccer, and we have a bunch of amazing programs down there. I played for a club called Indiana Fire Junior South, and they've just grown, and their outreach to you know, all the young athletes has been crazy to watch. So my high school soccer in Evansville, Indiana is a big deal. So playing high school soccer in that environment was something pretty special. But
it sounds like you keep tabs on the club and the high school soccer in your hometown.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's mostly the coaches that I've had. They were the biggest contributors to my career, who I am as a player, who I am as a person. So, you know, I just love to see what they're doing with current athletes, because I know what they've done for me, and it's just fun to keep up. It's fun to keep up. I have a great relationship with my high school coach, and I keep up with her team. I don't know a single girl on the team anymore because I'm too old, but it's just, when you're a part of something that's special, you wanna keep tabs on their success even when you're gone.
What do you miss most about home?
You know, that's a good question. Probably my family. I've always been, you know, the independent type, and I'm not really like homesick that much, but especially last year with COVID and with how crazy my schedule is. I used to, you know, freshman, sophomore year, I used to be able to go home on the weekends. I'm only about an hour and a half, 45 minutes away, and I just really have hardly seen my family at all the last year and a half. And, you know, it's been all right because I keep busy, but I wish I got to see them more often. So
Well, that will be a positive with the season coming to a close and you eventually graduating. Hopefully you'll be able to go see them more often. So what sold you on Bellarmine coming over from Evansville?
Yeah. So, I'd never really heard of Bellarmine. I think one of the greats on the basketball team here, Adam Everhard, is from my high school. And so that's how I initially heard about Bellarmine when Adam came over here. Bellarmine was the first university I was in contact with my recruiting process. I got Chris Tinius. He came and ran a session with my club team and my sophomore year, and he just was consistently communicating with me and, showed the most consistent interest and effort during my recruiting process. And, student comes before athlete. And, Bellarmine as a school was everything I wanted and more. I wanted something that was smaller class sizes. I thrive off of those relationships with, faculty and other students, and Bellarmine was it. And I wanted to go somewhere that I could do undergrad and PT school in the same place. And, Bellarmine's PT program is phenomenal. So I made a fantastic choice.
So I saw Chris a day or two ago, and I said, hey, anything you want me to ask Elyssa on the podcast? And I said, do you want me to ask what it's like playing for you? And he's like, oh, I don't know. That's dangerous territory, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What's it like playing for Chris Tinius?
Oh, I've enjoyed it a lot. My entire career I've had, even before Bellarmine, I've had coaches that, have pushed me to reach potential even when I couldn't see it. And, that's one of the things that I thank Chris for the most as a coach is, he's been hard on me at times, but it was because he knew and saw, the potential that I had in the career that I could make at the end, even when I couldn't necessarily see that. So, he's a great coach. He knows when to push, and I've been through a lot personally outside of soccer, and he's been a great supporter, and he's more like a little family. He's kind of like our little head coach of our little family. So, yeah, I've loved playing for him.
Is there anything you don't mind sharing, personally you've gone through that he's helped you with?
Yeah. I've had a couple of, deaths in my family. I lost my older brother my sophomore year, November my sophomore year. I lost an aunt coming in my freshman year. I just recently lost an uncle. So I've had a lot of losses since I've been here, and I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. And he's just always been super supportive, and anything that I needed or anything that I asked of him, he delivered, and just offering and understanding that soccer isn't everything, and that there are real things that happen off the soccer field. And if anyone understands that, it's him. And he's just been great, not just with me, but with anyone on the team that goes through something challenging.
Right. And as you approach the end of your senior year, not that you didn't appreciate it before, but when you think about all those experiences you went through, does all of that really start to flood back right now and give you that perspective? Yeah,
it really does. And something that Chris has stressed, since I've been here is, not only is he developing soccer players to be successful in the soccer field, but he's playing such a, critical role in all of our development as, who we're going to be off the soccer field at the end of our 4 or 5 years here. So, that's something that I can reflect on, especially now that I'm entering my professional career. It's like, okay, well, what have I learned? And if you ask Chris, if you ask him, he'll tell you that freshman year Elyssa is a completely different, I don't have a complete different personality, but I've grown so much since I've been here, and a lot of the lessons I've learned have come from him.
How have you grown?
I've learned in a lot of ways. I think some would argue, I was a captain on my high school team, but I don't think I really knew what leadership meant and what it was like. In my freshman year here, I struggled a little bit. I was a redshirt. I wasn't playing. Made a few mistakes here and there, and I've transformed myself into a leader. And what an actual true definition of a leader is, and not what I used to think a leader was. I take, more responsibility in things, and I own up to things more, and I'm just smarter about things, just maturing.
Hindsight 2020, gain wisdom over the years. You don't believe it in the moment. You look back, though, and it's so true.
Yeah.
I think everyone can absolutely relate to that, in their own experiences in college for sure. And you mentioned your redshirt year. When you transition back to game action, because, your sophomore year was really your first real game action in almost 2 years.
Yeah.
What feelings did you have going out there, not playing in like a real live game for a couple of years?
Yeah, that was definitely a unique feeling because, most of my career I was playing all the minutes on the field. And,
yeah.
It was definitely a culture shock, but, thankfully the way our season's set up, I had a little bit of experience that I was able to gain in that spring of my freshman year. I was able to get a couple games under my belt, but fall of my sophomore year was definitely an adjustment. I had to gain a little bit of confidence back. I had a lot of pressure on my shoulders because my freshman year was when one of the greatest goalkeepers in Bellarmine history was here my freshman year, Taylor Smith. She was amazing, was an All-American that year. So I had big shoes to fill. And, I'm hard on myself anyway. So just overcoming, that fear of failure and the big shoes to fill was the most challenging part. But I acclimated pretty quickly. Once I got a little success under my belt, I was like, okay, this is all right.
How instrumental was Taylor Smith in your growth?
Substantial. I don't even think she has any idea. But, coming in freshman year, I think we both know that we were pushing each other. And she kind of helped me through that process of knowing that I wasn't going to be on the field, but still craving the opportunity to get better and the opportunity to prepare for what was coming. I learned a lot from her as a player for sure.
I'm just curious with goalkeepers in general. They have to be really vocal. Yeah. They're always yelling something. What are you shouting?
Oh, man. Well, it depends on the day. Most of the time, as goalkeepers, everything has to be as proactive as possible. Like you're the only person on the field that can see everything that's going on in front of you. So most of my communication is directing people like, okay, you should be here. This is what you should do. So-and-so, tuck in. Like a lot of it is like positional and when to step, when to drop, stuff like that. But yeah, most of our communication is very instructive. That's probably the gist of it. Sometimes I'm yelling at somebody because somebody didn't do something right, but that's most of the time that's not the case. So.
But most of it's go here, go there.
Yeah. A lot of it is just giving instruction.
Has your voice ever gone out in the middle of a game?
No, I can't say that it has.
That's good.
Yeah, not since I've been at Bellarmine. I think that maybe happened to me a long time ago. But when it's windy, you can't hear it very well, so you have to scream like 10 times louder. I can't remember. I think it was Lewis. Every time that we had gone to Lewis when we were still in the GLVC, the wind up there is crazy. So I remember those games so vividly because I remember just having to scream at the top of my lungs because you can't hear anything through the wind.
Now, if your voice did go out, you would just have to resort to all types of hand motions, I guess.
I don't even know if that would work because 90% of the time everyone's got their back to you. So
what would you do? Just rely on them to be in the right spot.
I guess. Hope that they can hear me.
The other thing, when you come out for a ball in the air and you punch it. Have you ever punched somebody in the face?
Maybe a time or two. Yeah, I've taken. I hate to say it this way. I mean, I've taken a couple people out.
Yeah, everybody's flying through the air.
Yeah. What I will say is, especially this year, I have done less of the hitting and been more of the hitting dummy from other people. So it's a tough job. You definitely have to be willing to put your body on the line for sure.
Yeah, you've dealt with quite a bit this year, injury-wise, the most you have in your career looking back. How have you handled that mentally?
It's definitely been a challenge. I think I've handled it pretty well on the outside. It's frustrating, especially in my career, just situations that we've had in the past. I've kind of had to play more minutes than what my body will allow me to in the past parts of my career. And so it's just taking a toll in this season. I've had to sit out several games, more games than I'm used to sitting out. And it's been hard. It's been really hard because I've missed a couple of big games this season. I missed North Florida. I missed the Lipscomb game. And so it's definitely a different feeling when you're supporting from the sideline. But I think that's something that I was prepared for. Going back to, how we're talking about growth and leadership, it's, even when you're not on the field, learning how to adapt and be a leader from the sideline is something, an experience this season that I am thankful that I have, even with the frustrations.
What's yours and Bailey Witt's relationship like? Do you see that as a similar relationship that you had with Taylor Smith back in the day? Yeah.
We got Bailey here from Western Kentucky, which is they're extremely competitive women's soccer team. And it's been nice having Bailey here. We definitely push each other in training. I'm kind of seeing the other side of it because with Taylor, I was the one not playing the minutes, as many minutes or no minutes at all. And so, I was the one trying to catch up to Taylor, where the relationship is kind of flip-flopped with me and Bailey, where, now I'm the one that's having to continue to push myself because I got someone right behind me. And so it's been a cool dynamic to see it from both sides. And Bailey works her butt off every day. So it's nice having somebody that brings the intensity with me every day.
Yeah, keeps you both sharp, right?
That's right.
So I want to go through good and bad memories here. Let's start with the bad and get it out of the way. What's the worst goal you've ever given up?
Oh, man. In my Bellarmine career?
We can do that. We can do your entire career, whatever you want.
I'll do my Bellarmine career. I don't even know if I can remember beyond that these days. Actually, that one is pretty fresh in the memory. Actually, I hate bragging on myself, but I have made very few mistakes, like few big goalkeeper error mistakes in my career, and unfortunately, this past week, last Thursday at North Alabama, I had a ball slip right through my hands and just go right in the back of the net. And I was so upset with myself because I never do anything like that ever. But, I'm human and I make mistakes. So you live and learn. But that was probably that one's fresh in my memory, so it's easier for me to remember, but that one for sure.
Well, I apologize for taking you back to that fresh memory, although it seems like it's still there, unfortunately. Now let's go to the good. What's the best save you've ever made?
Oh, my gosh. That's a hard one. That is really a hard one. I have a couple that come to mind, honestly. I'd say the bigger ones that I can remember are last year at Division II, our regular season opener was against Carson Newman, who was ranked I think they were nationally ranked going into that season. They had been super competitive in the tournament the year before. First game of the year, and we gave up a penalty kick in the first half. And I ended up saving the first initial kick, and then she got a rebound shot off, and I saved the second one. So made a huge penalty kick save in the first half. We ended up beating them 1-0. So that's one of the cooler ones that I can think of. I think one of the other ones that comes to mind, we were playing Quincy one year, and there was like 10 seconds left. We were up a goal, and I had to make a tip save with like 7 seconds left in the second half. So it's those saves that I think of first.
You brought up PKs. Those have always fascinated me. It seems like all the pressure is on the person kicking, because from your perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, in general, I don't think people expect the keeper to make a save.
That's fair.
They expect the person to score. So when you go to PKs, like, what's your mindset? Are you excited for that? I'm sure you're confident, but I don't know if you're excited to go to PKs necessarily.
No, not excited for PKs, not at all. There's a little bit, I say there's a little bit of a luck factor that comes in with PKs. Depending on, like, different goalkeepers have different strategies of how they go about PKs. Mm-hmm. And I personally like to pick which side I'm going to first, and then I just make a decision, and then I go, and if I guess right, I guess right, and if I don't guess right, then I'm out of luck. But PKs have been something that I've always been fairly good at, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. The PK save I was talking about against Carson Newman, I do not remember it whatsoever. I completely just blacked out in the moment. I don't remember making the save at all. No recollection.
Elyssa had to run to practice, but she was outstanding and is extremely grateful for an amazing career. She said that senior day for her was bittersweet, and it'll be a similar feeling when the final game of the regular season comes against EKU on Saturday. That's when the women's team is back in action. That does it for the third episode of the Knights of the Round Table podcast this week. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Check us out on Spotify. Follow us on social media at BU Knights, and make sure to join us again next week. I'm Jack Kaiser. Swords up.